Hi there, welcome to Floating in Dreams. This is eyeshadow palette month, and today we're going to be talking about my top 10 favorite drugstore eyeshadow palettes. Welcome to everybody watching today. Thank you so very much for joining me. This is going to be my top 10 favorite drugstore eyeshadow palettes. I tend to do this video every single year whenever I do eyeshadow palette month, so I thought it would be good to update you once more. So let's just get to it. Before we get into the video, it may be good to know who I am if you've never been to the channel before. My name is Micah. I've been a content creator for more than a decade. I have fair skin with a cool to neutral undertone, and eyeshadow palettes are the bread and butter of this channel for sure. I talk about them regularly, so if you want to hear more about palettes, then I hope you'd like to consider subscribing. Here's my top 10 favorites drugstore eyeshadow palettes. It's a small stack. I always feel like drugstore is always like slightly boring when it comes to the color stories we're getting, but that doesn't make them any less good. So let's just get to it. So I have mainly selected eyeshadow palettes that I have access to. I know there are a lot of other brands, and I've decided to stick to brands that I deem actual drugstore-ish sort of brands. So I've not put things in just because they are affordable, so there's no ColourPop here, or something like Be Perfect, or like some like lower end indie brands. I've really decided to focus on just things that I can get from my local drugstore, or like drugstore priced makeup shops, like Kiko, for instance, because I thought that that would make it a bit more fair. So since I'm in Europe, I do have mainly European brands here. This is what I can get from my drugstore, and some of these I still need to travel for anyway, and I think most of these are still available or have come back. I know that, but one of these was definitely limited edition, so let's just get chatting. So the first palette I wanted to show you is this one from Essence. This is the Welcome to Cape Town, and this is a recent discovery, as in the past year this palette came out. They have been doing this travel series for a longer time though. I know there are slightly different palettes you can get in the US compared to what we can get, so I'm not sure if this is available everywhere to everyone, but this is one of the best Essence eyeshadow palettes I have tried in years. It's so good. One of the reasons why I love it, and it is actually on my list to go back to for August, so I hope to be able to film another look with this towards the end of the month, so I can show you that. But this is essentially the palette, and I love this kind of color story for the summertime. We have your warmer toned neutrals here, we have some cooler toned neutrals here, we get greens, we get teals. That's all I need to make me happy. This is such a good like summertime color story. I love how the colors on the front of the palette is essentially what you're getting inside of it. I think that's ingenious, and I think that's a level of attention to detail that we just haven't seen Essence do a lot with their eyeshadow. And this isn't just a fun color story, the quality is also really good. For the $6.99 that this retails for, I was very impressed with it, and it's the first time that one of these travel series has been hanging around my makeup collection. Very often I try these and I'm like, yeah, that's okay, but nothing that really makes me feel excited. I've tried the Marrakesh one, the Miami one, the Rome one, and those were all decent. For the price point, decent. But this is the one where I feel they have outdone themselves, that really blew my socks off. So if you haven't tried this yet, and because, especially because those other palettes all came out before, I do think that a lot of people have now tried this formula and this line of palettes thinking they're all gonna be the same. But to me, this really felt like slightly different quality compared to like the Marrakesh or the Miami, which was okay, but blended away really easily. You really needed to build it up. It just kind of disappeared throughout the day. And this is vibrant, fun, great color story, and it stays put really well on me as well. So for me, the Welcome to Cape Town from Essence is definitely a hidden gem at the drugstore. If you haven't tried it yet, and you're looking for something new and it's cheap to try, then this may be a good one. Also new here, because I don't think I have ever featured a Kiko Milano eyeshadow palette in one of these videos, because me and Kiko eyeshadow palettes, Their singles, their sticks, the water shadows that they do, those I love. Those I think are really good. But their eyeshadow palettes, I had tried a couple, didn't love it. But then earlier in the year, I actually decided to buy some more Kiko. And I actually got something from the Stellar Love collection that was limited edition for Valentine's Day this year. That was really good quality. The holiday collection, they had some like sale going on, so I bought one of those quads as well. But I also bought two from their regular range, and this is the Glamour Multifinish eyeshadow palette. I have it in shade 5, which is like grays with blues, but I think my favorite color story of the two is number 6, but the quality between them is the same, so I was like, I just need to show you one, I think. This is really pretty. It has these like cooler tone, gray tone leaning greens in, and then you get something that's a little bit deeper and bright. The only shade I don't love is that really intense yellow gold in the middle. That's the only thing I'm not loving about this palette. But this is the first time that Kiko really surprised me with their eyeshadow quality. I think if you get this little 9-pan thing, the Glamour Multifinish, that you're getting some decent Kiko eyeshadow. I do want to point out, though, that Kiko does sales very, very regularly, so I don't feel there is a need for you to be paying full price for Kiko at all, because I think these may be a little bit expensive if you look at them like full price, but if you can get 25% off or buy 2, get 2 for free, then Kiko can do some really good deals, especially if you're getting some more expensive things. So this Kiko palette I did really enjoy, and I just wanted to rave about it again because these little things from Kiko are definitely worth it. Also new to me, I only bought this last May, so this is quite new in, you could say, but I had high hopes for the MUA Illusionist palette because last year I already tried some of their 5 pans, really enjoyed those. So I was like, I want to try their 15 pans again. And MUA is one of those brands where I used to have a couple of their palettes, which I thought were really good for the price point. And one of those used to be my go-to travel palette. It was like a Naked 3 dupe, and I was always taking that with me in my travel bag. So I knew MUA could do good things, but I just hadn't really tried much of what they have been doing recently. But the Illusionist is like such a good cool tone. And I just feel we don't get enough cool tones at the drugstore. We don't get enough cool tones anyway, period, I feel. But here we have what the Illusionist looks like. This is like $4.99 at Superdrug in the UK. I have been able to find this online through European retailers. Not sure what the availability is like worldwide. I can't check everything. But have a look and look up this product if you want to. It's got some really good crease shades in that just work really well for me. It's got some shades that are a little bit more purple leaning. Some of them are a bit more brown. Some of them lean a little bit more pinky rose tone like this. This is the only true warmer tone, but it only looks warm toned in the pan, I feel. On my eyes, I didn't mind it that much. We also get some different textures in these shimmers. Some of them are a little bit more satin heavy. Others have a little bit more of a metallic finish and a little bit of like a particle, like a bit of extra spunk to it, you could say. So for how affordable this is, I think that MUA is just proving yet again that good eyeshadow doesn't have to be expensive at all. This is one where I'm like, do they still do this? Yes or no? Because I know they brought it back last winter, but I'm not sure if it's still out now. And it's by e.l.f. And this is the Celestial Winter palette. I've shown you this last year, I think, as well. I bought it towards the end of 2022 or start of 2023. I don't remember. But I've had this for over a year, and this line of palettes that e.l.f. now does, I think is very much slept on because I don't hear anybody talking about these. But the Celestial Winter, I mean, it's got a duochrome right here, this like purpley blue. It's got some pastel, like bright, colorful things. You get some neutrals. I wish that these two were a little bit more cool toned so it would go better with the rest. But I was really afraid that the blue that we get in here would be not good. There was just something in my brain when I bought this was like, that blue? Boy, was I wrong, because that blue is really, really stunning. It's nice, it's saturated. We get some good shimmers in here, some good mattes. It has some interest as well. and this is still really affordable. And because it is one of the lesser hyped up products from e.l.f., I really feel that e.l.f. with their pricing strategy is sort of like the things they dupe from other brands are the things that are really expensive, but things that they release themselves tend to be a little bit cheaper than the rest of the ranges, because e.l.f. has really, really inflated their price point over time. Gone are the days of the 1 and 3 euro e.l.f. line for sure, but this I think is really good. I still love my Earth and Ocean as well, but that one I've mentioned so many times that if you don't know that I love that one by now, then yeah, this one is it just needs a bit more love. I hope they bring it back again if it's gone out of stock. So the next palette is sort of like, sometimes I can still find it on websites, sometimes I cannot, but it's another Essence one, and this is the Cool Nude Edition. A really good cool tone neutral eyeshadow palette at the drugstore. And this was really, really surprising to me. I had initially like completely passed up on this range of eyeshadow from e.l.f., from Essence, because with Essence, it's so hit and miss, and they have done things that are styled in the same packaging for years, and I tried those in the past and wasn't super impressed. So that's why I was like, I don't think this is going to be anything special as well. The two reddish pink tones, they pull more pink on me than they do red, so I like that. We get some good taupes, a really good like charcoaly silver, like silver but not too stark. I like that. We have some blend shades, we get something that's light enough for the inner corner, and then we just get a gray and a black to smoke things out and deepen things up. This was really pretty, especially the addition of those pink tones make the palette for me. I will hopefully still be able to find a link for this, because if this is gone, because some of this range is still available, but then other things aren't. Now I know that from this line, again, availability can be very dire, but I know in different territories they still sell these. Over here where I live, the 5 in a boxes from Catrice aren't that easy to find anymore. They are now switching things to the Wow in a box. So the 5 in a box is being phased out, I feel. However, my favorite is still Modern Smoky Look. I also like the other ones. I can't really choose, but depending on what you like, if you find these from Catrice and you can find any of the color stories, they have been pretty successful for me. There was a blue toned one that had like a brighter blue in, and this like burgundy one that I feel had a different formula than the original 4 we got. But if you get like the orangey toned one or the neutrally brown one, this one, the rose one, they are all good. If you can still find the lavender one with the grays, that one is actually my favorite, but since that's very much discontinued everywhere, I know I will not be able to link that. So the Modern Smoky Look from Catrice, the 040, I think is still such a good one. There's a reason why I have a backup of this. Not because I'm about to run out of this, but these pans aren't huge. Like, it's not, you don't get a standard eyeshadow pan size with these, so they are tiny, but they're so good for travel, and I just love this. It's such a good cooler toned eyeshadow palette. I love the like taupey shimmers we get in here, the pop of steely blue for liner, lower lash line work, whatever, and something that's deep enough to deepen it up, and you get a blend shade. I mean, I don't need anything else in a palette, and the formula of this is really good. Speaking of really good 5 pans, I already mentioned MUA, but I have to give credit to where my MUA love really got started, and it is with this line of 5 pans. This is the Andromeda Skies. I actually like these so much that I have another one of these that I wanted to throw in here because I like both of them so much. This is the one that really made me fall in love with this formula. It looks really dark and deep and saturated, but this shears out beautifully once you start blending it with brushes. The shimmers in here I do need to use a glitter glue with, so I wouldn't necessarily travel with these, but for something like super glam, I think these work really well. I have tried 2 other ones since then, and I feel they don't have the very flaky shimmer this has. It's more similar to the Catrice, I find, so these are currently my favorite 5 pans that you can get, and these are like $2.99 at the UK drugstore. Is this drugstore or not? I was very much doubting it, but I keep this brand with my drugstore products because I feel it's very similar to Kiko, which in my brain works because they are sold in a similar way. Let me tell you what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the brand Wycon. I discovered this brand when I was in Italy last year, and they had a store very similar to what Kiko does. So they had a standalone store, it was pretty much next door to Kiko. That's how I found them. And a lot of their products were pretty affordable, save for the eyeshadow palettes for some reason. I mean, the lipsticks were like 10-ish euros or so. Those are really, really high quality as well. Very similar to Pat McGrath, I feel. Very similar to Pat McGrath. And a lot of their eyeshadows were duping like Huda Beauty palettes. Now, I got this because there was a sale. If you spend a certain amount of money, you would get like 25% off your entire purchase. So I didn't spend as much, but the eyeshadow palettes tend to go for like 50 euros, which I feel is like Huda Beauty, Natasha Denona realm. You know, that's like high-end price points. So the palettes aren't super affordable, but the rest of the line, I feel, is sort of like that L'Oreal, Maybelline sort of price point, I feel, at least where I live. Over here, L'Oreal and Maybelline are like 15 euros and up. Maybelline is a little bit cheaper than L'Oreal is, but most like L'Oreal products start around like 15 euros, just between 15 and 25. So I feel that most of the products from Wycon fall into that category, so that's why I wanted to show it here, even though this palette is quite expensive. So do with that what you wish. But this, the Glam Eyes Cooler shades, was so pretty, and I'm really glad I picked this up and I got to try the brand. You get some peachy tones in here, but I don't mind them. This pulls a little bit more pink on me. These two as well. The only thing I'm sort of missing in here is a really good crease shade. Like this shade is a crease shade for me, but everything else isn't. So that's a bit of a bummer. The shimmers in here, especially this middle row, so pretty. They feel like Huda Beauty shades. They really, really do. Some of these shades are really light, so this is perfect if you have fair skin. Maybe if you have deeper skin, you do not, but Wycon has been a recent discovery in the past year for sure. And then, of course, if we're talking drugstore eyeshadow, I have to show you this. The best palette that Catrice has ever made. It was limited edition. I do apologize. However, these 15 pans are sometimes some of their better things. Not all the time, I have found, but I'm not sure if they still do this. But the Falling Colors was limited edition, as I said. So the limited edition collections that Catrice does are definitely, I feel, sometimes where you get these like really weird one-offs, really good products. I very randomly picked this up from my local drugstore when this first launched. It came back last year, so part of me is hoping that they're again bringing it back this year and like release it elsewhere, because it was sort of like Northern European countries first, and then Southern European countries got it last year. So I'm hoping that other territories are going to get this collection too, but not sure. This is just really pretty though. It's Huda Beauty quality, but this is only 15 euros. Yep. And the color story is amazing. I know they did a couple of these, Catrice did, that looked also like the Huda Beauty New Nude and things like that. So I knew they were they had this range to dupe out other brands, but they certainly do their own things, and if they commit to doing their own things, I always like them so much better. This is like the only thing you get that's truly warm toned. This is a little bit more rosy. We even get some taupe leaning shades in here, some really good neutrals. The gold reflection sort of throws it off on camera, I feel. But this is such good quality, and I want to go back to this again over the fall time, for sure. Best fall color story I've ever found. And then the final palette I wanted to show you in this video is the other 5-pan from MUA that I got last year. I was doubting whether I should put one of the new ones in, but I think I like the color stories of the ones I got last time better, because those were the cooler tone ones. I got the Desert Bloom and the Neutral Wanderer this year, and those are pretty, but they are pretty standard and like things I already have a lot in my collection and I've tried a lot. But the Enchantment, if you want something a little bit more ethereal than the Andromeda Skies, try this, because the Andromeda Skies is like the smoky version of this, essentially. So here we get some really pretty shimmers. You get that pop of like a bluish periwinkle purple. The rose tone in here is really pretty. You get something deep enough to deepen it up with, and then you just have this really stunning shimmer right here that looks silver in the pan, but it's not quite silver. Again, these are the very sort of flaky, creamy shimmer quality that the Andromeda Skies also have. So I would recommend going in with a glitter glue if you use these. But these are really pretty, very workable eyeshadow. And I just, for the price point, you just can't fault it. I mean, the packaging is like super cheap. Can you hear that? It's so cheap. Like, I would not recommend traveling with these. Like, the Catrice ones are sturdy enough to go into a makeup bag, but these, they will just shatter within minutes. But so, so pretty. And I really appreciate having been able to find those at the UK drugstore really randomly, just browsing around on my own. And then I'm like, yes, this is some really good eyeshadow. So I hope this video was helpful for you, that you got some recommendations out of it. I will make sure to have some links in the description box down below. So if you're looking for swatches, what these look like on my face, and also if you want to shop any of these, that you can. If you use any of the shopping links, then I do want to point out that I could make a small commission if you do choose to shop through there. So thank you so very much for doing that. In the meantime, thumbs up the video if you liked it, and subscribe because I make regular videos with eyeshadow palettes every month anyway. But for the rest of the month, we're still doing eyeshadow palette month. So I hope you're here for it, and then I hope to see you in my next one. Bye-bye!